We were stating, how different is this? Every team changes a ton, but how different is the team from last year when you faced them in an exhibition game?
Yeah, I mean, I think every team we're going to play from year to year here on out in college basketball will be different. I think they'll stick with some of their same concepts, but Coach Duff's been there a long time. He was a long-time assistant going into year 4 as a head coach. He's got a great system. I think they do a really good job of getting the ball side to side and getting advantages with their ball movement. But yeah, I think they have 4 returning players that have had some equity build up over there at Weber State, but they're a really good team. I'm not sure what the coaches in that conference were thinking, picking them second to last. That's not what I see on film. I think they're really good.
Kind of building on that, they took Utah right to the wire into overtime last week. Gary said you guys watched that together, I think. But just what did you see from them that made them effective, and what can you take from that game going into this week?
Every game you're going to take a lot of things from, right? That's why you scout. But I thought they were, obviously played tremendous. Great poise on the road. Anytime you can go on the road in college basketball and play the way they did, they've got some leadership. You could see their team really likes to play together. They share the ball. Collectively, they team guard. And they got guys, I think, that really understand their role, right? And that came down to a 3-point shot, or they probably win that game. But the reality of it is every team we play is going to be a little bit different. You got to try to clean up what you're doing this time of year. You're not going to fully get there. But day by day, you got to try to get guys better, right? Whether it's valuing the ball, limiting, we had 18 turnovers, way too many. Just try to improve. I think that's the message to our guys is we got to improve day to day, and then you'll get rewarded on game night. So we got, a good week this week with 2 home games. And I think it's just been an incredible week for Utah State, right? If you look at what our women's soccer team was able to do, I watched that game, the resilience there for their coach to get them back in the NCAA tournament. He's a heck of a coach. Rob winning the regular season with games to go, just an incredible coach, and it's kind of what I told Cam on the interview. You're walking into an unbelievable situation, right? We got 2 teams already in the fall that have won championships and a football team that's 1 win away. So I'm hoping the momentum of all of our sports, that the Spectrum will absolutely be rocking on Wednesday night.
Kind of along with that, after the successful weekend, as you guys launch into your season now, what kind of effect does that have on your team, your players, kind of seeing that success within the conference around them?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping, there's a pride in this, right? I think last year's team really set the tone at home. We had a couple hiccups, obviously with UC San Diego and also New Mexico, but this is a great venue at home. You got to come in and establish yourself defensively and win the physicality part. And we're certainly going to have to do that on Wednesday night.
So were they kind of a high-scoring team? I mean, I know they played a non-Division I team. They scored 138, then 84 in regulation against Utah. Just what is it you're seeing from their offense that's let them put up points really easily these first 2 games?
Yeah, I think any good offense starts with player movement, good spacing concepts, getting the ball side to side. They certainly have guys that can shoot. There's multiple guys on their roster that we would consider greens, which means they can really shoot the ball from 3. They're bigs. They've got 2 bigs that can really, really shoot. One that was an Aggie in Nigel. He's, I think, playing at a high level. He's much more confident. He's kind of playing like a 5-4, so it makes it difficult. He sometimes rolls. He sometimes pops. So our ball screen defense has got to be good. They set a ton of ball screens, try to create advantages through that. They're playing much faster. I think they're 88 in the country in pace. So we got to get back and get our defense set. When we get our defense set after the first 12 seconds, our defense has been elite. So that's going to be the message this week.
Got a couple of guards. I mean, Jace Whiting, another guy that Aggie fans are familiar with. Boise State, UNLV, I guess. I don't know if he ever played at UNLV, but 17 points. I know that first game kind of skews things, but yeah, a couple of guards that averaged.
Yeah, he got hurt last year. I think it was an ankle or knee injury. I can't remember, but a tremendous player. You can see he's really found a home, right? There's certain kids that when they go in the portal, kind of really fit. I think they've got a lot of pieces that really fit well together. I think that's what makes them a good team, and Whiting is certainly one of those guys.
You mentioned the bigs with Weber State. They're not necessarily really tall, but they've out-rebounded both their opponents, including Utah. They've rebounded 48-43. What is it, even if they don't have guys that are 6'11", 7 foot, what's allowing them to rebound as well as they have?
It's a little bit like Gary Clark and Carson Templin. I mean, I think, there's certain players that have noses for the ball, certain guys that know how to use their hands, their feet, their willpower, right? I think they're a team that really wills themselves to get rebounds. They're much tougher and stronger. Size to me is good, but you got to use it, right? And I think you saw that with Gary, back-to-back double-doubles. We see that with KT. But their guys just go get the ball. They have a relentless pursuit of getting the basketball.
Going back to kind of the VCU game, you mentioned a lot of turnovers, but you also forced a lot of turnovers. That's been something you've been talking about since the summer, turning the ball over too much. But somewhere you really excelled was the points off the turnovers and limited VCU on that side. What have you seen that kind of made your transition offense really effective and your transition defense?
Yeah, I think it's twofold. I think some schematically, we're certainly different schematically, but I also think it's personnel. I think we've got a lot of guys that can move laterally, right? Part of defense is being able to sit down and move and keep guys out of the paint, right? The best defensive teams in the country eliminate the paint, right? And that's, sometimes you can get beat on the paint in transition and a half court, post-ups, that sort of thing. Our guys got to continue to do a good job protecting the paint. I thought we had some fouls that we can certainly avoid, putting our arm on guys on drives. But I thought for the most part we shrunk the court. We did an unbelievable job of swiping gaps and helping each other, and that's what team defense is. We got to continue to do that.
You mentioned your own turnovers. That's something you kept harping on in the offseason. You had the 18 turnovers against VCU. What's the process of eliminating those? Obviously you want to eliminate it now, but what's that kind of time frame and work process look like to shave a few of those turnovers off?
Yeah, it's a lot of running in practice. We run for those turnovers. It's not any fun, I could tell you that. As a team, once you get five, five turnovers is the limit per team. So if we practice for 90 minutes today, the minute we get five, they're put on the line, they run a 22, it resets to 4. And we're looking at possibly individual running at the end for turnovers. I think, the best teacher is there's got to be some consequences, right? And we've got to eliminate, there's certain ones you're going to get, right? And we're okay with, whether it's an offensive foul or, something like that. But the ones in the backcourt, the ones that are careless, those are the ones that you've got to eliminate, right? And I think as this team goes along, Jason, we'll get better at that. As we continue to understand our roles and how we want to play. But you got to credit VCU. They certainly had a lot to do with that. That's their style. They press you for the whole game. They try to make you uncomfortable. And I thought, their last 8 minutes, they were relentless. We went, I think we missed 6 layups in the last 8 minutes of that game. And then as you continue to miss shots, that's kind of like a breakaway for those guys to get out and get easy baskets. So the turnovers, you certainly got to continue to get better, but I think they will. I'm pretty confident.
What has kind of been the energy and the vibe this week, obviously coming home from VC, that travel? You had the big lead and then watched it get chased down, but then still won the game. So what has kind of been the energy from the coaching staff and the players?
Yeah, I think, sports are a roller coaster. 1 week you're at the ultimate high, and then the next game you lose and you could be totally deflated, right? I think the best teams have consistent play on both sides of the ball. They value the ball. They take good shots. They know their identity. You played a really good team. VCU is a team that's a top 60 team. I think they're 60, 61 today in Ken Palm. You beat a good team. You have to understand that. But it's time to turn the page, right? You're playing a Weber State team that, came within one possession of beating a Big 12 team, a team that's, I think, won in here 3 years ago. Very, very well coached, very disciplined, good players. So now you got to lock in on Weber State and understand what problems they present, because every team does, and you got to get better. I think you can't. I don't really pay much attention to when you're kind of don't have social media. I don't really know what people say, so I'm just really focused on the task.
You mentioned Weber's pace and them getting out in transition. I think a third of their scoring has come in transition. when a team gets out on that kind of play, what's the key at that point on defense to try?
Yeah, honestly, you'd think it's your defense. It's really your offense. Take good shots. Don't take bad shots. Don't turn the ball over, and don't put your defense in bad situations. You know, I think we're 26 in offense, 78 in defense today. As you wake up and look at some stats and some numbers, we should be better defensively. But our offense has hurt our defense a little bit. So we got to get better at certain points in the shot clock, the first 12 seconds, that is. But I think some of that's due to our inability to take care of the ball offensively.